Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to unpack your sources and really get into the fascinating details.
And today, wow, we're heading to Giza. Not just the pyramids you see, but what might be hidden underneath.
Exactly. It's this world beneath the sand and stone that just keeps revealing secrets.
Or maybe raising more questions.
That too. So our mission today is to look at some recent archaeological finds, some pretty controversial claims too, and those long-standing esoteric ideas.
And importantly, we want to help you sort through it. What's actually verified, what's more speculative, and why does Giza still grab our attention so much?
Absolutely. And we need to be clear about our approach here. There's the solid scientific archaeology.
Right, the evidence-based stuff.
Exactly. And then there are these, alternative theories, some really out there.
Yeah.
Our job is to make that distinction clear.
Okay, so let's start with the science, the confirmed discoveries.
Right.
What have archaeologists actually found recently? Well, pretty recently, July 2025, the Scan Pyramids Project announced something big. A hidden corridor.
In the Great Pyramid, Khufu's pyramid.
That's the one. They use myography. It's this amazing tech using cosmic rays, like a super X-ray, basically. Non-invasive.
And this corridor, how big are we talking?
It's about 30 feet long, over 6 feet wide, located above the main entrance. And remember, they found that other big void, 98 feet long, back in 2017.
So what do they think it's for? Just structural, maybe?
Could be. Maybe to redistribute weight. Or maybe it hides something else entirely. We don't know yet.
Fascinating. And there's more, right? Something under the Western Cemetery.
Yeah, a different team from Tohoku University in Japan. Between 2021 and 2023, they used GPR and ERT.
Ground-penetrating radar and electrical resistivity tomography, so more scanning tech.
Exactly. And they found this L-shaped anomaly. It's about 6.5 feet down, 33 feet long, and it looks man-made. Geometric shape, different density.
And it connects to something deeper.
Seems like it. Something maybe 10 to 33 feet down. It's in an area they thought was just empty space, a blank area. Could be a tomb entrance.
So these new tools are really changing the game, finding things without digging a single hole.
Totally revolutionizing things. And let's not forget the older finds, like the Osiris shaft.
Oh, right, the causeway wall. That thing's incredible. Goes down over 100 feet, multiple levels, carved rooms.
Definitely shows deep, complex construction happened underground long before this new tech. Serious human effort went into Giza's depths.
Okay, so that's the confirmed science. But Giza attracts, let's say, less conventional ideas too.
Understatement, perhaps. Yes. Take the claims by Malanga and Biondi in March 2025.
The ones announced on YouTube.
That's the one. They claimed a vast underground structure, like a whole 2-kilometer network under all 3 pyramids, found using SAR, synthetic aperture radar.
And the details were pretty specific, weren't they?
Oh, yeah. 5 multi-level structures, 8 huge wells going down almost 650 meters, linking to massive 80-meter cube structures. They even suggested some kind of mechanical or energy function.
Like Tesla or Christopher Dunn type theories, ancient energy systems.
Exactly that kind of thing. But, and this is a huge but, the scientific community was immediately skeptical.
Because of the YouTube announcement, mainly.
That was a big part. No peer review, no published study. Plus, mainstream Egyptologists like Dr. Hawass just flat out dismissed it, called it baseless.
And the method itself, SAR going that deep.
Highly questionable through dense limestone. Some experts think the data could just be noise, errors. And, well, Malanga has associations with fringe theories.
Oh, okay. That adds context.
Right. Plus, they claimed it was 38,000 years old. The pyramids are, 4,500 years old? Big conflict there. Getting permission to excavate based on this. Very unlikely in Egypt.
It really highlights the difference between, capturing public imagination and actual scientific proof.
Absolutely. Which leads us nicely into another famous Giza mystery, Edgar Cayce.
The sleeping prophet and his hall of records?
Precisely. Cayce claimed Atlantean refugees built a hidden hall around 10,500 BC to store their knowledge after Atlantis fell.
And he said where it was, didn't he? Near the Sphinx?
Yeah, between the Sphinx and the Nile River, entrance near the Sphinx's right paw, supposedly filled with records. He even predicted it would be found between 1958 and 1998 during big world changes.
So did anyone look? I know his own organization supported searches.
They did, the ARE. Back in '78, GPR near the Sphinx found anomalies, but drilling just hit natural rock fissures, nothing man-made.
And later attempts?
Same story. Drilling near the Great Pyramid in '98 found a natural cavity. A geophysicist in '91 thought maybe a chamber under the Sphinx, but again, later checks found nothing matching Case's description.
So despite all the searching,
No physical evidence. Mainstream Egyptology dismisses it. And, after 1998 passed, a lot of the buzz faded. It shows how powerful these myths can be, even without proof.
so bringing it all together, Giza remains this incredible place.
It really does. A place where real science, using amazing tech, is making actual discoveries. We're learning more about their ingenuity.
But it's also a magnet for these boundary-pushing claims and enduring prophecies.
Exactly. You have the hard evidence on one hand, and these captivating stories that tap into something deep in our imagination on the other.
So what's the takeaway for you, listening? The story of Giza, especially its hidden depths, it's far from over.
Right. It's this constant back and forth between solid proof and, let's face it, hopeful speculation. Technology will definitely uncover more.
History might get rewritten, but it really underlines how important it is to ask, what's the evidence? What can we actually prove versus what do we just want to be true?
The mystery continues, and it invites you to keep questioning, keep exploring Giza's incredible past. This deep dive is definitely for you if you're curious about those narratives. Okay, so let's maybe start near the beginning of these modern ideas. We've looked into Maurice Doreal's Emerald Tablets of Thoth the Atlantean.
Ah, yes, Doreal, quite a character.
What's crucial there isn't just the idea of hidden chambers, but how his story really fused ancient Egypt with the Atlantis myth.
He specifically framed these halls of Amenti as a lost library, basically, of pre-disaster Atlantean knowledge.
And it's that core idea, this hidden place of advanced ancient wisdom, that really kicked off so many of these alternative theories, didn't it?
It absolutely did. Doreal claimed he found these tablets back in 1925. He presented Thoth not just as an Egyptian god, but as an Atlantean king who set up these halls.
So, a hidden archive from a lost civilization. That idea really took root.
It really resonated, yeah.
And building on that, sort of that theme of lost wisdom, we then looked at Edgar Cayce.
The sleeping prophet.
Right. He talked about a hall of records near the Sphinx's right paw. Now, that's a distinct concept from Doreal's, isn't it?
Yes, quite distinct. Cayce's readings, mostly from the 1930s, described Atlantean refugees building this specific repository around 10,500 BC.
The store what? History, spiritual text.
Both, apparently, crucial records. And his prophecies actually spurred real geophysical surveys in that area near the Sphinx.
Did they find anything?
Well, they did find some anomalies, things that looked interesting on the scans. But subsequent drilling mostly just found natural rock fissures. So, no definitive mainstream proof of Cayce's physical haul ever turned up.
Leaving that particular mystery still open then.
Pretty much.
Okay, let's jump way forward. Some really recent and, frankly, pretty extraordinary claims came out from Malanga and Biondi in March 2025. What exactly are they reporting? It sounds groundbreaking.
Well, it is, if it holds up. They claim they used Advanced Synthetic Aperture Radar SAR, that's the acronym.
That's the ground-penetrating stuff.
Sort of, yeah. It's a sophisticated remote sensing technique, bounces radar signals to try and see through layers of Earth. They combine this with AI analysis.
And their conclusion?
Their report states they found a vast underground city right there under Giza. And get this, they're claiming it's 10 times the size of the pyramids area.
10 times. That's huge.
Massive, spanning over 6,500 feet, with shafts they say reach down 648 meters. That's incredibly deep.
Wow. And they put a date on it.
They do, an astonishing 38,000 years ago. And they explicitly identify these structures as the halls of Amenti we were just talking about.
Okay, that is a monumental claim. What's the reaction been from, the established Egyptologists?
Well, this is where it gets really interesting. You see a stark contrast. Archaeologists like Dr. Zahi Hawass just flatly call it fake news.
No hesitation.
None. They point to the limitations of SAR technology, saying it can't reliably image things that deep or differentiate structures that clearly. Professor Lawrence Conyers, an expert in this kind of geophysics, agrees, says the tech just can't do what they claim at those depths. Plus, there's been no peer review of the Malanga Biondi findings.
So a complete rejection from the mainstream.
Yes, and this dynamic perfectly illustrates something we often see. The official denial is often taken by proponents of these theories as, well, almost proof that something is being hidden. It feeds that narrative. We're just reporting on that dynamic as part of these claims.
Right. The denial reinforces the belief, first time. Okay, so while some theories focus under the ground, others look at the pyramids themselves differently. Christopher Dunn's hypothesis, for instance. He reinterprets the Great Pyramid's purpose entirely, doesn't he?
He absolutely does. Dunn comes from an engineering background. He posits the Great Pyramid wasn't a tomb.
Power plant. How?
He suggests it harnessed the Earth's natural vibrations to generate wireless energy, something even Nikola Tesla, struggled to fully achieve.
Wireless energy from the pyramid.
Dunn focuses on things like the king's chamber, the granite, the quartz content. He theorizes about the piezoelectric effect, how quartz crystals generate electricity under pressure, converting vibration into electrical energy, potentially high-frequency radio waves.
It's a wild thought experiment, shifting it from a burial monument to, well, advanced tech.
Exactly. And, if you connect Dunn's ideas with someone like Erich von Däniken.
The ancient astronauts guy.
Right. Von Däniken's hypothesis suggests extraterrestrial involvement in ancient human achievements. So that provides a potential alternative who and how for this kind of advanced technology at Giza. The argument is that the pyramids show knowledge beyond ancient human capabilities, implying some external, maybe alien influence.
And it's fascinating how this idea of Giza holding hidden knowledge isn't always just physical, those halls of Amenti you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
In many traditions, they become something more, right? They're elevated from just a place to a spiritual concept.
Exactly. The lines blur between physical discovery and, inner transformation. They're often presented as spiritual realms, pathways to higher consciousness, boundless knowledge.
Like another dimension, almost.
Sometimes described that way, yeah. Or a distortion between the physical world and the soul. A place to access limitless knowing, even unending life. So the secrets aren't always buried artifacts. Sometimes they're presented as internal truths, internal awakenings.
So bringing all these diverse threads together, D'Oriol, Casey, Malanga, and Biondi, Dunn, von Däniken, the spiritual side, they often lack that conventional, hard evidence, and they face strong academic pushback.
Definitely.
But they all share this common core. A belief in some lost, incredibly advanced civilization with profound knowledge. And that persistent mainstream dismissal, as you said, it often just fuels the conviction for believers that something important is being kept from you.
Which really raises a key question for you, the listener, to think about. Why? Why does this mystery of what might lie beneath Giza continue to captivate so many of us, even when the official explanations seem so firm, so final?
Maybe the draw isn't just about historical facts.
Perhaps. Perhaps for many, the true secrets of Giza aren't just about uncovering the past, but maybe they represent keys to a grander vision of human potential, of our existence, truths that maybe resonate on a level far beyond just empirical proof. Our mission today is to explore a pretty bold theory.
Okay.
That the sands of Giza, maybe even some found inside the pyramid.
Inside, wow.
Yeah, they might not be local at all. They could have come from the eye of the Sahara.
You mean the Richat structure?
Yeah.
The one in Mauritania?
That's the one. A full 2,000 kilometers away. It definitely pushes back against the standard geological story.
2,000 kilometers. That's a huge distance. So what makes this theory even plausible? Why not just local sand?
Well, let's start with the source itself, the Eye of the Sahara. It's enormous, about 40 kilometers across.
Huge. I've seen pictures from space. Looks like an impact crater.
It does, but it isn't. It was mistaken for one for a while, but it's actually a deeply eroded geological uplift, a dome.
An uplift?
What's really key here is that it's essentially a giant natural sand factory. It's always eroding.
A sand factory. So it just churns out sand.
Pretty much, yeah. It exposes this incredible variety of rocks, lots of quartz-rich sandstone, naturally.
Right, sandstone makes sand.
But also different igneous rocks, formed from magma or lava.
Like a basalt, granite.
Things like that, yes. And crucially, many have been altered by hot, mineral-rich water. Geologists call it hydrothermal alteration.
Okay, so a unique source churning out specific stuff. How does that connect to Giza? What's special about Giza sand?
Good question. Giza sand isn't just any old sand. It has a very distinct mineral profile.
Meaning?
It's mostly quartz, sure, that's common, but a big chunk, about 55% of its heavier trace minerals, what we call the heavy fraction.
Okay.
That fraction is full of specific things like pyroxenes, amphiboles, and epidotes. They're like tiny chemical markers.
And you're saying the Richat structure produces those specific markers?
And that's the core of the theory. The match is, remarkable. Richat sandstone provides the quartz, obviously.
The common stuff.
Right. But it's igneous rocks, the hydrothermally altered ones. They line up perfectly with those specific pyroxenes, amphiboles, and epidotes we find at Giza.
Like a mineral fingerprint.
Exactly. A fingerprint pointing straight back to Richat, 2,000 kilometers away.
Wow. Okay, that's compelling.
Mm.
But you mentioned sand inside the Great Pyramid.
Yes. This, for me, is maybe the most crucial piece.
Tell us about it.
During drilling explorations inside the Queen's Chamber of the Great Pyramid, researchers found what they termed anomalous quartz sand.
Anomalous, meaning unusual.
Unusual, and specifically noted in the reports as looking like it was transported from a great distance.
Whoa. So actual evidence of non-local sand inside the pyramid itself.
Precisely. That discovery fundamentally shifts the ground. It proves long-distance sand transport did happen at Giza. It opens the door wide for a source like Richat.
Okay, so the big question then, how on earth does sand travel 2,000 kilometers? That's like sand going from New York to Denver.
It sounds almost impossible, doesn't it? But think about the Sahara. It's the biggest source of atmospheric dust on Earth.
Right, we see satellite images of dust plumes crossing the Atlantic.
Hundreds of millions of tons every year. And there's clear evidence showing a dominant eastward trajectory for a lot of that material movement across North Africa.
Okay, dust travels far, but sand grains are much heavier.
They are heavier, absolutely. But we also see vast sand seas, ergs, and sand sheets like the Salima sand sheet south of Egypt. These show that large-scale sand movement does happen over immense areas.
So the desert itself has transport mechanisms.
And here's where climate comes in. Remember the green Sahara periods?
Ah, yes, the cycles where the Sahara was much wetter, with lathes and rivers.
Exactly. Those wet-dry cycles likely acted like a massive engine.
How so?
Well, the wet periods would have caused intense weathering at Richat and other places, breaking down rock, creating huge amounts of loose sediment, preparing it,
Okay, so loading the system with material.
Right. Then, when the climate shifted rapidly back to dry, arid condition,
You get intense winds.
super intense winds whipping across a now exposed landscape, picking up all that prepared sediment and transporting it vast distances eastward. The climate shifts provided the power.
So let's pull this together. We have this unique potential source, the Richat structure. A really specific mineral match between its output and Giza's sand.
A near-perfect match, yeah.
Direct evidence from inside the pyramid of sand that traveled a long way.
The anomalous sand, yes.
And these massive Saharan climate shifts providing a plausible, powerful engine for transport.
That's the theory in a nutshell. It paints a picture of a much more dynamic connection between distant parts of the ancient world.
It really makes you rethink things. It suggests that even the ground under, the most studied monuments might hold these incredible long-distance stories.
Absolutely. It reminds us that familiar places can still hold astonishing secrets hidden in plain sight, or perhaps right beneath our feet.
So for you, listening right now, just think about this. If the very sand beneath the pyramids could have journeyed 2,000 kilometers, what other hidden connections, what other epic journeys might be encoded in the world around us, just waiting for us to notice? What part of this story stands out most to you? We've got a stack of sources here, scientific papers, geological studies, and we want to give you the shortcut on this alternative idea.
The mud flood hypothesis, as some call it.
Right. The idea that maybe huge flows of mud and sand, super saturated with water, shaped by the land already there, could make things that look like craters.
Okay, so before we dive into that alternative, let's just quickly recap the standard impact crater story. What's the accepted science?
Good idea. So impact craters, they come from hypervelocity collisions, right? Extreme speed, incredible energy release.
Exactly. Create shock waves, intense heat and pressure, fundamentally changing the rock itself.
So it's more than just a big circular dent. What are the real smoking guns for an impact?
Well, the shape, the circular depression, maybe a raised rim, sometimes a central peak in larger ones, that's a big clue, obviously.
But not proof on its own.
Not definitive proof, no. The real clinchers are what we call shock metamorphic effects. Think of it like a cosmic fingerprint left in the rocks.
Okay, like what specifically?
You get minerals like coesite or stishovite, which only form under immense sudden pressure. Or you see microscopic damage in crystals, shocked quartz, and shatter cones, these sort of cone-in-cone fractures in rocks.
Shatter cones, I've heard of those. Aren't they sometimes found in volcanic stuff too, though?
Very small ones. Very rarely, yes. Which is why you usually need a whole suite of these features, not just one isolated thing to be sure it's an impact. It's the combination.
Got it. So it's these unique markers, things that Earth's regular geology just doesn't do, that confirm an impact.
Precisely. Plus, you often find specific types of melted rock impact melt, which looks different from volcanic lava. It might have unmelted rock bits mixed in, a jumbled chemistry, and sometimes even traces of the meteorite itself, like nickel or iridium.
And you can even see evidence underground.
Sure, with drilling or seismic scans, you can see structures like uplifted rock layers beneath the crater floor or layers of broken rock called breccia. It all builds a picture distinct from, say, a volcano or a salt dome rising up.
Okay, so the key takeaway. No shock metamorphism, no confirmed impact. That's the gold standard.
That's generally the requirement, yes. These features are considered unambiguous evidence.
All right, now let's pivot. This mud flood idea. What's the core concept there? How could mud make a crater?
So the theory posits that instead of an impact from above, you had immense flows of sediment saturated with water. Think huge debris flows, maybe hyper-concentrated flows, moving across the landscape.
We're talking like catastrophic mudslides.
On a scale that's hard to imagine. Flows with densities close to rock, moving potentially faster than 10 meters per second. Incredibly erosive, incredibly powerful.
Wow. Can you give an example of that kind of power?
Well, think about the nautiloid beds in the Grand Canyon region. That's evidence of something like 24 cubic miles of lime sand and silt flowing perhaps faster than 11 miles per hour, burying countless creatures catastrophically. That shows the kind of energy available in sediment flows for reshaping landscapes.
Okay, that's a mind-boggling amount of material. But where would all this mud and sand come from for these hypothetical crater-forming flows?
Earth has vast amounts of unconsolidated sediment, sand, silt, dust. Wind transport, aeolian processes can move enormous quantities over huge distances.
Like dust from the Sahara crossing the Atlantic.
Exactly. The Sahara generates hundreds of millions of tons of dust yearly that travels thousands of miles. There's even some, debated research looking at anomalous quartz sand found way inside the Great Pyramid, suggesting it might have been transported from very far away by some large-scale event.
Interesting. But still, if you have these massive flows, why would they form neat circular shapes like craters? Wouldn't they just spread out?
That's where the geological guiders part of the theory comes in. The idea is that these flows didn't just happen on a flat plane. They might have been channeled or contained by pre-existing structures.
Like what?
Think of existing valleys or large basin-like depressions, or maybe the eroded remnants of old geological domes. These could act like giant molds, concentrating the flow's energy and forcing it into a circular pattern of erosion and deposition.
So the circularity isn't from an explosion. It's inherited from the landscape the flow moved through.
That's the idea. The flow essentially takes the shape of its container.
And Earth does make big circular things naturally, doesn't it?
Absolutely. That's a crucial point. The Richet structure in Mauritania, the Eye of the Sahara, is huge, about 40 kilometers across. People initially thought it had to be an impact crater.
But it wasn't.
Nope. Detailed studies showed it's a deeply eroded geological dome, likely pushed up by magma from below that never erupted. No shock features found.
So there are precedents for large, circular, non-impact structures.
Plenty. Volcanic calderas, which are collapse features. Salt domes pushing up overlying rock. Karst features, like giant sinkholes. Layered igneous intrusions. Earth is perfectly capable of making circles without help from space.
And you'd need the right conditions for these massive flows, presumably involving a lot of water.
Yes, and paleoclimate data helps here. Think about the African humid period, roughly 14,500 to maybe 5,000 or 6,000 years ago. The Sahara was green, full of lakes and rivers. Conditions were certainly there in the past for potentially massive hydrological events.
Okay, this is a compelling alternative picture, but it definitely goes against the established impact consensus for these specific sites. What would it take to actually validate this mud flood idea for a structure currently labeled an impact crater?
The burden of proof is very high, no question. First and foremost, you'd need a consistent lack of those definitive shock metamorphic features we talked about. The shocked quartz, shatter cones, high-pressure minerals.
So re-examine the rocks and find nothing impact-related.
Correct. Then you'd need to find positive evidence for sedimentary origin. Things like specific layering patterns in the fill material, maybe finding upward sequences, cloth bedding indicative of currents, signs of soft sediment deformation, clear erosional boundaries where the flow cut into older rock.
What about the chemistry?
The geochemistry would need to match local or regional terrestrial sources. Without those telltale meteoritic elements like iridium or platinum group metals often found in impact melts.
And you'd have to look at the shape again.
Yes, reevaluate the morphology. Does it really look like an impact, or are there features more consistent with fluid erosion and deposition within some kind of pre-existing confining structure, like a basin or dome?
So a lot of detailed reinvestigation would be needed.
Absolutely. It's a significant challenge to the current paradigm.
So wrapping this up for you, our listener, what we've explored here is that this mud flood theory, while definitely alternative, offers a potentially plausible Earth-based explanation for some circular structures, especially maybe those where the impact evidence, particularly shock metamorphism, is perhaps absent or ambiguous.
It really encourages a fresh look, questioning assumptions about features we think we understand.
Maybe leaves you with this thought: what if some of those craters aren't scars from cosmic collisions at all? What if they're actually these huge ancient footprints left by Earth's own incredibly powerful water and sediment dynamics, just waiting for us to reread their story correctly?